objective, we're going to review animals, their traits, their adaptations, and the like. So I want you to travel back in time with me to our very first unit we covered when we talked about there are so many different types of animals on this earth. And to keep track of them all, scientists need a way to categorize or classify them. So if you saw this group of animals here, you might want to group them by color or by their markings. So all the brown animals and the striped animals. But if you look a little closer, the animals in each category, brown or striped, don't have very much in common. So the things that scientists use to categorize or classify animals, what do they look for? They look for patterns. Look for what's on the inside, what's on the outside, and how's it born. So for what's on the inside, does it have bones like this dog? Does it have no bones like the slug? For the outside, is it furry like the bunny, or is it not furry like the snake? Does it have feathers? Does it have scales? Is their offspring born, or is it hatched from an egg? If the animal has hair or fur, gives birth to their young, and has bones, it's a mammal. If your animal has bones, lays eggs, and has feathers, it's a bird. If your animal has bones, lays eggs, and has scales, it's a reptile. And if it has no bones, it falls in the invertebrate category. Now, of course, there are some tricky animals. Do you remember when we fought about the platypus and which category it belongs? Because the platypus has bones and lays eggs, but it's furry and it swims in the ocean. So scientists categorize this as a mammal. But I think you guys are some good debaters and some good analysts, and maybe could grow up and change that classification one day if you wanted to. Then let's move on to when we discovered frogs. Do you remember you had to guess the different sounds? We learned how frogs are a great example of biodiversity right where we live in North America. Because in just one habitat, in one swamp, there can be many different frog species, and each one has a unique call. So the American toad was our guessing one. The American bullfrog. And it's the Pacific chorus frog that gives us the familiar ribbit. And which frogs are the ones doing all the croaking? Yep, it's the male frogs. Why? To attract a mate, the female frogs, so they can lay eggs and create more frogs. Then we discussed birds, and just like frog species, there are many different bird species. And so if we put on our engineering hats and get out our toolkits, we would need to make different kinds of bird feeders to attract different birds. Sometimes birds want something to perch on. Sometimes they want something to latch onto, maybe vertically. And sometimes they need a place to stand, like the blue jay. So you guys became engineers. You saw a problem or a need, which was, how do I get birds to come to my bird feeder? And designed different feeders accordingly. I wonder if any of you still have those and if they were successful when you brought them home. So that has been a review of our very first unit from this past year. Can you believe all the stuff we learned?